Hey guys, it's Brad from the A-League Couch Critics here. I want to have a quick chat about some pretty crazy news I've stumbled across from NPL land. It's got to do with the Preston Lions. I think it was announced yesterday, so that would have been November 27th, that the board of the Preston Lions made a unanimous decision to ban ultras from attending their games, which I think is absolutely crazy. Obviously, we've got to add a bit of context to that, because obviously that just doesn't happen out of nowhere. So back in October, Preston Lions played Heidelberg United in a preliminary final, the game before the grand final in NPL Victoria. And some pretty, vague crap went down. Vague in terms of the press release announced when sanctions were handed down. So a comprehensive investigation commenced immediately following the incident. So the match happened back in September. Sorry, I might have got my dates mixed up there. Back on the 5th of September was the preliminary final, and this came out on October 31 this year. So a comprehensive investigation commenced immediately following the incident. The matter was adjourned until October. Anyway, so based on the evidence presented, charges were laid in relation to the use of flares, unsafe conduct, and antisocial behaviour. Antisocial behaviour is just so vague. Of course, in a press release, they're not going to go down to the nitty-gritty and explain exactly what happened. But of course, that's why we have social media to get a bit of a vibe. But of course, social media is not gospel, so always take it with a grain of salt. Anyway, the tribunal has directed the following sanctions. 3 competition points to be deducted from Heidelberg, applied for the 2026 season. 9 competition points to be deducted from Preston to be applied for the 2026 season. Fine of $3,000, $3,300 to both clubs, and a fine of $1,650 and a mandatory education for a Preston Lions official. So I wonder why someone would have to take a mandatory education course. It's pretty vague. They're not telling us. That's fine. They don't have to. So that was back in October. Yesterday, so it's probably been about almost a month since that got handed down. From what I understand, Preston appealed that decision, and it's been reduced to 6 points with 3 suspended. So that means they'll start -6 next year. Obviously, if they stuff up again, they'll be docked another 3 points. So when Preston Lions announced the decision to ban their ultras, they also announced some other things. So obviously the ultra style groups like PM Ultras and Preston Boys are banned, which I think is utterly crazy. Like, wow, it's just massive. To ban ultra groups, it's probably unheard of. I don't know. Anyway, it's not the only thing that's gone down. Their signs, symbols, and clothing are prohibited, and entry will be refused. And the official Preston Lion flags and signage may be displayed. And individuals breaching Football Victoria or club codes will face significant bans. Several have already been identified. So my first question is, how long is this ban? Like, is it a year? Is it 2? Or is this till the end of time? Are these groups basically dead? Can they go to away games? Can they just go make another ultra group, which is a rebrand of the old group, and then get repeated warnings, and then stuff up again, and then get banned, and the circle goes on and on? Also, what Preston Lions announced in their statement, which they announced yesterday, the incidents were got to do with abusive language, unacceptable behaviour, and dangerous items, including flares. And I think I've spoken enough on the debate of flares. They're illegal. The Australian law has defined them as illegal unless you're in a maritime disaster. So if you're getting spanked 6-1 in a grand final of the Central Coast Mariners, sure, rip a flare. Jokes. Sorry, Melbourne City fans. Sorry to bring that back up. But let's be honest, flares are banned. And so the use of them at a football ground is banned. And so when people get annoyed that they get in trouble for ripping flares, it's like, well, they're banned, so what do you expect? But of course, people still rip them. And if they want to rip them, so be it. Do it safely. Don't go throwing them at other players on other teams. Don't go throwing them into crowds. Having a look at comments, it seems what's happened here is that there's been some racism towards players of African origin, and it also seems flares have been thrown at the opposing team, which is just absolutely not on. Like, just the racism. Like, are we really going to move beyond this? It's just pathetic. I'm all for a bit of banter, but if you have to resort to racism to try and unwind a player, you're just absolutely not welcome in any part of life, not just football, in sport. Get out. We don't want anything to do with you. And the flare thing, it's just so dangerous, throwing a lit item at anyone, let alone a player. So that's the vibe I've got from having a read around, is that it's the issues of why Preston have been docked their points is around racism and throwing flares and stuff like that. But I still can't believe they've banned their ultras, because like I like to think the majority of them are doing the right thing. It's just a few who, according to Preston, have been warned before and they've just ignored it. So I think they have to take a tough approach, because Preston have developed this cool little vibe of being an awesome little niche club to go support. I'd probably say the most supported club outside the A-League. Sorry, South Melbourne fans. I don't care what all three of you have to say about that. But I'm joking. Calm down. But I think what Preston have done is they've built up a really good vibe, and they want to continue doing that. They don't want their match day experience ruined. And so they're taking a tough approach. There will probably be a big backlash in terms of the Ultras, obviously not coming, and there's going to be a bit of drop-off in the fans. But I think in the long run, to create a positive culture, a positive vibe, I think Preston have to go hard. And it sucks that the vast majority have been punished for that. But, you know, it comes back to this thing as well. You know, we want Ultra culture. We want this cool, active support in football, whether that be the NPL or the A-League. And I think, you know, why the vast majority necessarily didn't do the crime, a lot of them would be observant to it, and they didn't call it out. And I know we're in a culture where we don't want to rat and dob on people, but we need, you know, the Ultras just have to do better. They have to self-police themselves. Because I know we get all cranky when, you know, the police come in big numbers at big games, and it's like, well, the minority really stuff it up for others, but also the majority have to call out. They have to say, hey, put that flare away. They're banned. Don't stuff up. Also, call out the DHs who are making racist comments, saying, stop that crap, get out of here, report it. It's totally unacceptable. And so, yeah, I think supporters need to do better. Not just Preston supporters, but Heidelberg, every single supporter base has to do better. They have to call out this antisocial behaviour, because what football has is so cool. It has, you know, this active support element to it. It is totally unique to any other sport in this country, totally unique to any other sport in the world. And we want to keep that going. And so we need to do better. We need to make sure we're encouraging a positive culture that is inclusive, that isn't pushing it. You know, yeah, flares might be illegal, but if you're going to rip a flare, don't throw it. Hurt yourself for all I care. Don't be racist. If you're racist scum, get out. You're not welcome. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. Just talking off what I've been able to find out. If you're at that game, please let us know what you thought of what happened. Let us know if you think the ban is too much. Is it too soft? Is it somewhere in the middle? Or you're not really sure? Anyway, give the video a like. Support is much appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And we'll see you in the next video.